A monologue is, as we all say, and every teacher in the world says, is never a monologue. A monologue is always a dialogue. Spot quiz. What are the 3 ways a Homo sapien interacts with another Homo sapien?
Verbal.
Thank you. Verbal. What?
Physical.
Physical and?
Silence.
Thank you. Some people are well trained. The three ways a human being can connect with another human being is linguistically through verbal speaking, or behaviorally, or through silence. And so silence is actually one of the 3 ways of speaking. For example, should I do that now? You're not filming yet, are you? For example, I can say to Riley, fuck you. And then you go, oh, good, we know what he's communicating. Or I can go, and now we know what I'm communicating. Or I can go, and we know what I'm communicating, right? Or I can say, I love you. Or I can say, or I can go, and all 3 communicate the same thing. So silence is a means of communication. So on your scripts, when it says pause, beat, silence, those are not silences. Those are nonverbal communication moments in which you're realizing something and you're deciding to communicate your ideas. It just happens to be silence. So a monologue is a dialogue in which one of the people is communicating only through silence, and the other person is communicating through verbiage. And so, as all things, your dialogue's only caused by the other person's dialogue. You don't speak unless the other person's inviting you to speak or causing you to speak. You guys are causing me to speak. I could be right now watching Andor with my son, but I'm here passionately to talk to you guys, so you're causing me to speak. And you ask me a question, so it's, and your responses right there are causing me to continue. You get it? So even though I'm in a monologue right now, I'm not. I'm in a dialogue with you and the group. So monologue, the one person has the dialogue, but both people are in the scene, right? A soliloquy is very specific to, well, it's most famous in Elizabethan theater and Shakespearean or Jamesian theater, in which the character is speaking and they're alone on stage. So solo, loqui, like loquacious, right? Solo, speaking to yourself. A soliloquy is the person speaking alone, to themselves. But it's very weird to watch somebody standing there going, I don't know, well, to be or not to be, that is the question. And we're like, what are you doing? Who are you speaking to? And so the idea of somebody speaking to themselves, besides somebody who's a little crazy, or those moments, I have moments where I go, oh, Matthew, what the fuck did you do with your coffee, right? That's not a soliloquy, that's just an aside to myself. But an actual monologue in which I'm speaking to myself is impossible. So the idea of the fourth wall only shows up in the mid-19th, late 19th century. Before that, there was no concept of a fourth wall. And I hate the fourth wall. I hate the whole concept of it. I think it's really stupid. And I think it's why, I apologize for my theater people over there, but it's why Arthur Miller and Tennessee Williams are so incredibly boring. I'm acting, and there's 1, 2, 3, and then I create a fourth wall in front of you, and I pretend that there's a wall here. And I imagine paintings on it or a window and things. And so what that does, by definition, is it puts the wall in front of my audience. So what does that do to you? It puts you out of the room. So you're a voyeur. You're somebody who's peering in to my private life, which puts the audience at a distance and also demands nothing of the audience and makes the audience non-participants. Whoops. And in the Elizabethan era, the audience was part of the action. The audience was actually a character on the stage, and they often sat on the stage. So the actor would engage with the audience. So a soliloquy in the, hi, come on, I'm just yabbering, I haven't even started yet. In Marivaux or Molière or something, in the French theater, you'd be like going, oh, but of course, and then I go, and then go back. And that's an aside to the audience. I bring the audience in, right? And people think of that as breaking the fourth wall, but there was no fourth wall in that era. In that era, it was just like the audience was part of the action. And then in the 80s and 90s, I think we started to blow up the fourth wall again. And if you're watching theater in New York today, there's no fourth wall. Jeff Daniels, when I saw him on To Kill a Mockingbird, or Adam Driver in Burn This, or Cherry Jones in The Lifespan of a Fact, or all like these plays that are really recent on Broadway, they're engaging the audience. The audience is part of the action. And so the question becomes, where's the fourth wall? Well, the fourth wall is there. That's the fourth wall. That's the fourth wall. And you're in the scene with me. So then you start going, but how's that so? The actor would be then aware of the audience. And here's where there's a paradox, which is super cool, which is if I'm doing a scene, I need to, Jill, don't tell me a fuck. I'm giving you a chance to act. I'm supposed to go, yay. You were cast, Jill. if I'm doing a scene with Jill, and Jill and I are doing a scene in which, like, you know, I'm telling her her mom has cancer, or I'm apologizing for breaking her heart, or I'm saying goodbye to I'm making my daughter, because that's about right, I'm saying goodbye to my daughter to go to university, or we're in a comedy in which I'm like, I've mistaken identity, and I thought you were like the woman I'm dating, and you're not. A scene is happening, and it's vital. It's super important, right? So this is everything. Because this is everything. Everything else is inconsequential. For example, I'm talking to Jill, and it's all about me and Jill doing something. This thing, what is this? This feathery plant thing was not in my consciousness, and probably not yours. Try not to focus on the feathery plant thing now. Try not to look at it. Don't look at that thing. Like, now all you're thinking about is the feathery plant thing, right? But before, a second ago, it didn't matter, because this is what mattered. And that's what an audience is. You're there, but you're not consequential, because this is the consequence. But there's a camera over there rolling. See, now I'm conscious of the cameras. You see how weird I got? When you're on set, and there's a huge camera on you, and Nora, the camera op, and Chad, the focus puller, are both sitting there on this big hunk of machinery, and it's like right in your face. To ignore that thing's insane. It'd be crazy to ignore it. It's like, don't look at the camera, don't look at the camera, don't look at the camera. Like, it's there. Just like this radiator is here, but like, this is not important, or that healthy plant. So the idea is that I'm focused on what needs to be focused on, and the camera becomes secondary, if not important at all. And that's the audience, and that's the camera. The whole key to camera technique is, yeah, there's a camera in front of you. Don't worry about it. This is important, and that's all that matters. The thing is when I'm really focused on Jill, vectors, vector down, my energy's all focused on her. And so I become incredibly Jill-focused, which means I'm not Matthew-focused, which opens up a space for you. So then the audience goes woof and becomes part of me. And so you're not actually being ignored, you're actually becoming a part of me. And the more you're a part of me, the more I feel that energy, the more I gotta focus on Jill. And the more I focus on Jill, the more you become a part of me. And the audience becomes my subconscious. They become an integral part of who I am. And that's what theater acting always was. And that's how you make it in acting. Oh, hey! No, just kidding. The audience is an integral part of you. They become you. So the idea of sticking a wall and ostracizing or ignoring the audience is anathema to the process. The whole point of acting is what? We're gonna get to this in a second, but is what? The whole point is to affect audience. It's for audiences to have an experience. It's for the audience to be shocked into an existence. It's for the audience to have an empathetic reaction, for the audience to deal with life. And so I'm here to affect audience. So to pretend there's no audience is to shut down the people that you're working for. But to then pander to the audience would be a mistake. It's I make it about you, not the audience becomes me. And that's where the fourth wall ought to be, back there.